Guys, what instantly makes you lose respect for other men? I'm a girl, but once I was out with a group of friends, guys and girls, we were all drinking, having a good time. The guys were ribbing each other a little, all in good humor. One guy jokingly insinuates that another guy must have a small Johnson because he drove a big Dodge pickup. Dodge pickup guy goes, "I don't know if I'm the one with a small thing. We all know Jenna, his very recent ex, cheated on you because she could never get it up." It was like all of the air was sucked out of the room and the rest of the night was uncomfortable. It's always that one schmuck who takes it too far. I'm guessing the rest of the night involved a lot of nervous laughter and people suddenly developing a strong interest in their phones. Story 2. My boss is sort of like this. He's pretty wealthy, so he'll always start a conversation about all the amazing things he's done, all the places he's gone, and all the things he has. It bugs me because I'm just starting out and can't even begin to think about affording these things, but then I remember that he's in his 60s and his wife passed away 5 years ago. He's just a lonely guy. At the end of the day, he's not doing it to be mean or make me jealous. He just wants to focus on what makes him happy. I should clarify that it bugged me to start until I got to know him more. He's a great guy, and he's always had my back in the company. Whenever we have company parties, he's quick to make sure my drinks are plenty and I'm having a good time. Story 3. Oh boy. I've known a few people who act all normal when they're with you and other guys, but as soon as girls get there, they just always bring something embarrassing up to try and make other guys look bad. I actually prefer those guys over ones who act like they're your friends and when you confide in them and ask them to keep it private, 10 other people know about it the next day. The first type is very easy to take out instantly. The second type is worse because it hurts more, because you had to learn from a third party that they're little craps. Story 4. Dude, I think I might be a one-upper. I hate it so much when I hear my wife tell me that I did it without even realizing. I try to be relatable when someone tells a story and adds in something I've experienced to try to add to the conversations, but I think it comes off as the whole, "Well, you think that's cool, huh?" I genuinely don't mean to do it, but can't seem to keep the conversation alive without adding something in sometimes. Makes me feel like a schmuck. Story 5. While I'm here, can I get a ruling? Roommate or friend dated this girl. By dated, I mean they went on 2 dates. He wanted her to spend the night, her not so much. She tells him she's uninterested. I know this girl from a different friend. She starts messaging me. I kind of hit it off and I have a thing for her. Is it kind of a schmuck thing to proceed or not? After many responses, I would like to mention I was planning on proceeding anyway. I just wanted to know how crappy it would be. General consensus is that it isn't bad to date her, but it is a little bad not to give him a heads up to avoid awkwardness and such. I want to make it clear that I did not think I needed his permission, as that seems to be a point of contention. So, it has come to my attention that maybe my first edit was unclear. I'm not asking his permission. I am going to talk to him and respectfully let him know my plans to proceed, see if he has any grievances or what have you, and then hopefully that will shatter some of the awkwardness by just being straightforward. Also, while he has these 2 dates with her, he also had dates with at least 2 other girls and has also dated girls since. I feel like this is important information. Obviously, you could still have feelings. This just seems a decent indicator he'll be fine. Also, I'm talking to him today and we'll update with that info. Update. So, I talked to him. He got home late. Sorry for the delay. I basically said, I'm not sure how to bring this up, so I'll just throw it out there. Girl's name and I have been talking the last few weeks. I'm definitely interested in her, and I wanted to bring this up to you. Something like that. It was basically like, okay, it doesn't matter to me. I've been with a few girls since, and some of those girls are with other guys, so jealousy isn't a problem. It's all good. Her and I had chemistry, but I wasn't super into her. We talked for a while, and I really pressed that if there's an issue, I would really like him to bring it up. He said he's 100% cool, and that he's glad I brought it up because then he wasn't blindsided. Also, he said it shows I care about him, and that meant a lot. So, happy ending. I'm very excited about the future. The only awkwardness here would be not dating her and constantly wondering what if, while his roommate talks about his 2-date relationship. Story 6. I was a groomsman in a buddy's wedding and first met the other guys at the bachelor party. First 10 minutes in, I met one dude in particular who wouldn't stop talking about girls he fooled around with. Didn't matter how long ago either. His first line was something to the effect of, "Yo man, I remember you from high school, right? Do you remember Kayla from science? I slept with her." At this point, it was about 15 years since we graduated high school. He also had to continue to tell us how many fights he had won and how he could mess anyone up. Story 7. A literal inability to shrug anything off. I met some dudes who would not take anything from anybody and always had to have the last word. A secure man doesn't have to assert himself and have the last goddamn word at every freaking point in his life. He's comfortable in his opinion and his knowledge of things and accepts that there are some things he doesn't know. Lacking these traits is a mark of insecurity. And while I wish the best for insecure men, if they manifested like that, I can only lose respect for them. Story 8. After playing an all-night session of card games in a pub, I was walking back to a guy's house who was giving me a lift home and we got to chatting. He mentioned his girlfriend, and that he was only with her until he met someone better. He then introduced me to his girlfriend when we got to his place, and she was absolutely lovely. She was really friendly and thoughtful, and I just found myself with absolutely no respect for the guy for being such a schmuck. Story 9. Any that cheat on their significant other. I will, and have, ended friendships over such. This goes for female friends as well. I don't care what situation you feel you're in. If you do not have the damn backbone to get out of your relationship before betting with someone else, then I won't complicate my life by being your friend anymore. Whining. It is fine to complain about something in an adult fashion, and practically any topic would be fine, but if you wish to walk through life whining, I can't stomach being around you. Story 10. Any guy who immediately throws another guy under the bus conversationally to gain favor with anyone who's not their significant other is and always will be viewed with suspicion by me. Sometimes it's okay to make a joke at the expense of a woman. They're people too. Don't need you emerging from the shadows clad in your bright white armor to save them from the big bad miscreant making a joke. It just makes me wonder why they're trying so hard. Is it personal to me? Is it personal with a woman in question? Or are they just into trying to outnice every other guy at every opportunity? Who knows, I guess. Story 11. Why they don't shut up about their intimate life. Cool, you met a chick the other night and took her home. Why are you telling me this? Are you going to buy paint or not? No, I don't want to see texts of you guys flirting, for Christ's sake. Honestly, crap like this really opened my eyes to the way some women are treated by some men. I've had someone try to show me pictures of his girl and I just straight up told him that it was messed up. He looked at me like I was crazy for apparently being the first person to say something. Story 12. A lack of work ethic. I personally believe that while the floor, in terms of standards of living, should be massively higher for the poorest Americans, I refuse to accept that those who are unwilling to contribute to society should receive anything. I believe that welfare should be a work program that provides retraining and job skills to those who don't have them. But those who refuse to participate should receive nothing. Make it easier for those on welfare to return to the workforce through free education and job training programs. I feel that when it is only a handout, it does not encourage people to better their situations and work. I work my freaking back off to have what I do. For people who are unwilling to work at all to feel that they're entitled to anything, screw you. Story 13. Inappropriate comments about a girl. I'm not talking about offhand remarks about a girl's looks. I mean, biology has us wired to notice beauty and want intimacy. A girl walks in and catches my eye, you better believe I'm telling my buddy to have a look too. I'm talking about guys that, from the moment a woman walks in, starts talking about her like a piece of meat. Please her? No, this is all egocentric. It's nothing but what you can do for them. They don't see a human in front of them. They see a hot pocket with legs. Story 14. Married 28-year-old guy here. Respect is lost in any guy who talks crap about a significant other, either in front of his boys or even if she's standing right there. I was at a wedding a few months ago and one of the groomsmen referred to his girlfriend as a dumpster when she got up and went to the bathroom. Later, she caught the bouquet and he wrestled it from her, saying, "I don't think so." Never got a good read on her, but she seems like she was a pleasant person, dressed relatively revealingly for a wedding. I don't doubt the dress choice was her boyfriend's. She was still nice to talk to. Story 15. When people try to assert their dominance over a girl. Was at a party in my hometown with a bunch of high school teammates. Some girls show up and one of them starts talking to me since we both ran track in high school. Eventually she walks away and then some guy comes up and says, "Don't even bother. I already got her number." Like, hey, she started talking with me. I was just standing there minding my own business. Every interaction with a girl doesn't have to be a contest or someone trying to game a girl for her number. I was honestly surprised that the girl even knew who I was. We talked about track, what we did in college, work, and our old coach. Story 16. I'm a guy who reads a lot of true crime books. Anyway, I can't bring myself to sympathize with any of the people I read about for obvious reasons, but some of them I can at least see some elements of humanity in. For example, Dahmer, despite what he did, didn't seem to enjoy terminating people all that much. He could only do it intoxicated, and if you look closely at his story, you see a guy who's clearly in a lot of internal pain and at least initially struggles to contain himself. He was evil, but at least he could admit it to himself. On the flip side, you have Dennis Rader. I freaking hate Rader. Well, I hate all these people, but Rader was, or is, a truly freaking petulant human being. He desperately wanted to be famous and to shock people, hence him sending a bunch of messed up letters to the cops. He wasn't content just being a sadist. Had to make sure everyone knew, because terminating an entire family wasn't proof enough. No, had to send bad poetry and doodles to the cops. Pop culture tells people to fear serial criminals, but the reality is that pretty much all of them are just a bunch of idiots. If you took the crime out of the equation, they'd be the most laughable guys alive as a rule. Raider is a prime example. Dude was so desperate for media attention that he ended up getting himself arrested because he actually believed the cops when they said they couldn't trace a floppy disk. For real, he asked the people tasked with finding him, "Can you trace me with this?" You're probably wondering how this relates to the question. I find nothing in this world more repulsive, more pathetic, than being a groveling, entitled schmuck. If you need to constantly convince people you're smart or cool or interesting or tough, whatever, here's the truth. You're freaking not. Story 17. Guys who try to hit on girls that are clearly with other men. I came to and was at the club entirely this one girl last weekend, and I couldn't even count how many random dudes were trying to edge me out or start talking to her, and we were at the bar together. Oh, and that little pretend you don't know you're dancing backwards into this chick and try to push your guy off of her to swoop in move. I had to start pushing away and staring down these single guys more constantly later in the night, and we eventually got frustrated being unable to enjoy ourselves dancing and hanging out and just left. Story 18. When men don't respect women. I have a group of friends and we like to catch up once a month at a local pub. We usually have really interesting conversations about music, cinema, economics, politics, whatever. Buddy invites this guy, friend of a friend deal, and he spends the entire night talking about how big his thing is and all the Tinder chicks he was fooling around with. He even told a story about how this girl was pure and wasn't sure if she wanted to have intimacy. And he convinced her to and gave us all the details. It was lamentable that we could have been talking about interesting and important issues and we were subject to one man's exploitation of women. Story 19. People who are ungrateful for something you give them or do for them, even if it's their job. If someone gives you food, you thank them, no matter if you don't like it or if you didn't ask for it. I brewed a special beer for a party. I brought over my last 6 of them and eventually I got into my last one. I was making friends with these 2 guys and gave them both a sample. One of them said it was good and thanked me for it, but the other guy was like, "That's all I get? How come you got more?" And "I've had better beer." So I dissed him real hard in front of his friends. They all did a hushed giggle. It visibly got hurt. The hushed giggle from his friends. That's the sound of sweet, sweet justice being served, one diss at a time. Story 20. Turning a joke into an insult. My friends and I once dressed up as the Avengers for Halloween one year. When a friend of my sister started talking to her, she made a sarcastic joke saying, "Oh yeah, these guys are just my props." Everyone laughed and enjoyed their night. Then months later, my sister, her then boyfriend, another friend and I were sitting at a Del Taco and my sister hadn't heard the girl at the counter calling her order. Eventually, someone gets up and gets it and my sister apologized since she was talking and just didn't hear it. The other friend then looks at us straight in the eye and says, "Oh, she doesn't care about us. We're just her props." Note that he said this in front of not just the person he was insulting, but her boyfriend and her freaking brother. Yeah, we don't hang out with him much these days. Story 21. White Knights. It is patronizing and disrespectful to the women they think they're fooling, and it's just pathetic for any potential spectators. Anyone serious about building a relationship with another person knows that they'll eventually get to know the real you. Putting on a front to trick women into intimacy is super greasy. In my humble opinion, well, also, people who refuse to use the passing lane on the highway for its intended purpose, or worse, who will intentionally box people in behind them so they can be up front. Is the impact you have in your own life so insignificant that you have to make your presence felt by inconveniencing strangers in traffic? Just flat out petty as heck. To be fair, I know there are folks out there legitimately so far up their own back that they may just be totally oblivious to their impact on the world around them. We've all encountered those commuters, though, who speed up when you try to pass or always have to be up front, regardless of the relative speed, or who gets in the passing lane next to a lumbering semi and proceeded to match its speed with complete disregard for the line of traffic they're creating behind them. Those people can kick rocks. Story 22. I keep scrolling and scrolling, but I'm still not seeing my answer, which is when a dude doesn't know how to act toward a woman. I'm not talking about chivalry either. There's plenty of dudes who will act super charitable toward women, super likable, and specifically as a form of predation. This is just one example of the genre of behavior that I will not respect at all. To me, there's a right time to be gentlemanly. There's a right time to be stern, to be corrective, to be disagreeable. There's a right time to be flirtatious. There's a right time to hang back and let things happen that aren't you. All this proceeds completely naturally from practicing attentiveness, from having a very general sense of the person you're dealing with and a very general sense of how to act. Therefore, anyone who does not act this way or possessing this competence intrinsically shows himself to be socially dysfunctional, intrinsically shows himself to not give a crap about the people he's dealing with, and all of this toward the vulnerable. Therefore, screw that person 100% of the time. Story 23. My friend invited everyone over in a group chat. Then, when one of the guys showed up, he wouldn't let him in. Worse than that, he refused to man up and tell him to his face that he didn't want him at his house. He told us either you guys go up and tell him or he can wait out there in the cold all night. He hates this kid for no reason other than he's oftentimes busy when we hang out. But the fact that he made me go tell this poor guy that he wasn't allowed in when it's not even my house made me lose every last bit of respect for my friend. If you can't be relied on to protect and stand up for your own home, what can you be relied on for? Story 24. Not stepping up as a dad. If your kid has a crappy diaper and you take them to their mother or any other person and avoid it, I instantly think you're a piece of crap. I've told friends that we weren't friends anymore after watching this happen. That also goes for telling me you're babysitting your kid. You don't babysit your kid. You freaking raise them. What makes this worse is when they do this kind of crap because they think it makes them more masculine to their friends. It doesn't. It makes you a witch. Anytime I see anyone treat their child, 5 or younger, like an inconvenience, I freaking hate them instantly. Story 25. Bragging about doing housework on social media. That's a thing my partner's stepdad does. Basically, for the most part, he does absolutely nothing and sits around playing on his PS4 whenever possible. But on the few times he does something, there'll uncountably be a Facebook post along the lines of, "Been doing housework all day. Think it's time for a break." Just seems like he's looking for some sort of merit, and it's stupid. Housework isn't something you do to be rewarded. It's what you do so your house isn't a tip. Just bothers me that he expects some sort of reward for taking care of one thing every now and then. Story 26. Mine is probably a bit of a niche because trucking, but I lose most, if not all, respect for a coworker or client if they start to brag to me that they do their work in an unsafe manner. More specifically, in the towing industry. A lot of these guys have no respect for people's cars. We even have a Towing in Canada Facebook page that's just cancer. Every post is about how some idiot elitist bragging about how they towed a 10,000-pound truck with one chain or how a vehicle almost falling off their flat deck was cool. Sometimes even speeding while loaded and such. Seriously, guys. Risking the lives of everyone on the road around you is not worth the 5 seconds saved by not properly doing your job. The amount I get crap on in my industry because I'm a pansy boy for wanting to use safety chains, nothing is more imprudent. 100 to 0 respect in an instant. If you're enjoying the video, don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button for more videos like this. Story 27. Giving a "I'm consciously trying to break her hand so that you know how strong I am" handshake. There's a firm handshake, and there's the kind where the guy's clearly squeezing with all his might, and sometimes you can even see their arm twitching from how hard they're clenching. They seem to think that if firm equals good, then more firm equals even better. It doesn't. When you try to break my hand as some sort of show of dominance, I immediately view you as a childish piece of trash. Story 28. When they're rude or flippant with any person who's serving them in any way. I work in finance at a fairly high level, and the amount of this crap that goes on with guys who think they're too good to give courtesies to service staff because of their self-proposed status disgusts me. I've actively promoted one guy over another for his behaviors in this respect. If a waiter or waitress comes to the table to ask for your order, stop talking about how cool you are and listen to what they're asking or trying to tell you. If you get angry at the barista because they spelled your name wrong but you have an awkward name to spell and didn't have the decency to spell it for them at the time of your order, that sort of crap is an instant cut in my book. Story 29. Being a white knight. It's okay to defend a woman who's legitimately in some kind of danger, but being that guy who jumps into a conflict between a guy and a girl and immediately takes the girl's side, regardless of what's going on, automatically makes you a witch, in my opinion. Using my own personal experience with a white knight, a girl stole something from me for no reason, and when I caught her lacking a week later, I took my crap back and she got mad and hit me. Even though I wasn't going to swing back, some white knight in his golden armor and shiny straight sword came over, saying, "I'm glad you didn't hit her back because if you did, you would have had to deal with me." Then proceeds to laugh after saying that BS to me. Taking a girl's side in hopes of getting something like a relationship out of it also makes you a nice guy too. Story 30. Probably my top 5 would be being disrespectful to people around him. This can be speaking bad to people in service jobs or even not having basic respect in other places for people's enjoyment. I don't care if you want to listen to music on the train. Use some damn headphones. Want to watch a movie? So do I, so shut up. Intentionally embarrassing you in public just because they find it funny. Some people find that kind of stuff to be no problem, but I do not. Things like I'm having a very nice conversation with a girl I'm not into at a party. In walks the clown and says, "Get in there. Nice flirting there. Hope you two do it." In that situation, my girlfriend was right nearby and I was discussing sci-fi movies, not flirting. Went up to him later and yelled at him away from everyone else, and he just told me I need to have a sense of humor. Make an unnecessary mess. Being an oppressor. Plenty of them in the adult world who like to make others smaller with their snide comments. Or some gym rat who will make an aggressive threat to someone on the street just because. Trying to one-up me in any conversation. I know sometimes I can be guilty of saying, interesting. That reminds me of but after doing it once or twice, I'll stop myself and make an active effort. Story 31. Male slagginess. To me, the word slag is real and applies to both men and women. Here's a personal experience that examples what a male slag is. An good male friend of mine being the perp. Male mate A, not the perp, drives people home from the bar one night, gets involved in an accident, writes off the car. Male mate B, not the perp, and female mate C are in the car. C is hurt. Not bad, but is laughing hysterically. Eyes are a bit faded. She's clearly concussed. Male mate D, the perp, sees this as a chance to try it on with her. Myself and D weren't even involved in the accident. We went to help after a call. As soon as D clocked her and what condition she was in, he was on her like a rash. He didn't get his way though, and we're no longer friends. Male slags will go for intimacy in an almost aggressive way with anyone without a thought of consequences to themselves or the girl. Story 32. Something I hold over men much more than women for some reason. Vanity. I have no clue why. A vain woman turns me off, but a vain man disgusts me. It may have a lot to do with the fact that I'm a man, albeit not a particularly macho or competitive man. I may subliminally see men who love themselves as inadvertently being competitive. Something else I don't love. I can personally find a man infinitely more beautiful than myself and be perfectly at ease, still viewing them as not but a peer. The second I see a man reveling in their own beauty too much or too often, I feel disgust and as though they place themselves on a pedestal. Or it could have much to do with the gender roles I was born into. 38 years old. Many women are born into a world where they're expected to be fair and beautiful. If they concentrate on it, no matter how naturally beautiful they are, they usually feel a hint of insecurity, needing reassurance and humility behind it. It's strange because it's subjective and anecdotal. Just that in my experience, even the most beautiful girls I've known have been somewhat graceful about their looks, while the beautiful men I've known have almost been worse for it as they were completely self-assured to the point of conceit, less forgiving of less attractive people and almost hedonistic as a result. Story 33. Guys who control every aspect of their significant other's life. I've seen way too many situations where the girl has to get permission for everything she does. The way she dresses, who she goes out with, and if she can even go out at all. It's 2017. Stop being such a controlling schmuck. There's so many guys that do this. And obviously, guys who hit their significant others. Didn't realize how often it happened till I got curious and asked some friends. Please don't subject yourself to that BS. Don't get stuck in a cruel relationship. Seek help. Ask friends. Get out of that relationship. Breaks my heart to hear some of these girls' stories. Story 34. When they suddenly act all different when a woman enters the room. Say this guy was acting normal and friendly, and suddenly to impress the girl, starts acting all hyper-aggressive or alpha and completely changes the whole demeanor. This is especially a problem whenever my group of friends plan a trip. Generally one person is in charge, but suddenly one person starts acting all Romeo and makes changes to the plan or tries to act like he's in charge, or the organizer to impress the girls. I had to scream at a guy who just learned to drive to get off the wheel and give the car to me. He obviously still wasn't smooth at driving, especially through mountains, but wouldn't let anyone drive in order to impress one of the girls. Story 35. Lying to women to get what they want. Was drinking alone in my bar one night, and the dude started making small talk with me. Talking about flying one girl in to fool around while making it work without the girlfriend he lives with finding out, and traveling for business to meet another side girl. Me. Are you in an open relationship? Bro. Nope. Me. What do the other girls say about it? Bro. One's in love with me, but they don't know about each other. Lol. I just look at him in disbelief like, really, dude? I get being single, not married, wanting to mess around and wanting to be desired, but not to get all neckbeard about it. Lying and manipulation to several women get your thing on. Says everything about your character and that I shouldn't trust you. This is why I drink alone. Story 36. Guys were trying to get with women to drink a ton of liquor for nefarious purposes. I mean, if both are having their fun, fine. I get it if they're both kind of just hanging out and having a couple drinks. But I don't know how many times I've seen dudes just keep buying shots for females because they know damn well a 120-pound woman and a 200-pound dude downing the same amount of booze is going to make the 120-pound woman pretty much incoherent. And that's not even counting the schmucks who try to spike women. Back when I lived in Vegas, people told me some of the bartenders would actually help their friends slip stuff into women's drinks in some of the clubs. The awful crap some people are capable of is just mind-boggling. Story 37. Those with jealousy issues. Stop treating your wives or girlfriends as property. Let them handle themselves and ask you for help when needed. If a coworker comments on your wife's new haircut, it doesn't mean he wants to sleep with her. This kind of insecurity is insane. It's unhealthy for the women involved too because it so very easily devolves into control issues, emotional cruelty, and even physical cruelty. Stop worrying about the other men in her life and start understanding why you're jealous. If you're a good spouse and treating her right, she isn't going to be baited into cheating. A guy isn't going to get a woman in a happy relationship in bed. So look in the mirror at your own behaviors before you project your insecurities on other men. Story 38. Saying they're a feminist in certain circumstances. Don't get me wrong, I think everyone should be an actual feminist. But what I have a problem with is people who say they are a feminist but really only actually have that opinion when they're around women. It's such a disgusting, pandering thing to do. It's like they're attempting to differentiate themselves from other men and pretend they care about women. And they're different from the other guys, but really they're just trying to find a new way to impress girls and inevitably sleep with them. Being a feminist shouldn't need to be said, and honestly, if you have to go around telling people that you are in favor of equal rights, there's something weird going on there. Story 39. When it becomes a game of one-upmanship the moment a woman joins the group, here's how the dynamic goes. All guys in a group insult each other, banter, laugh, more about the fun. One girl enters the group. Weirdest guy starts just specifically insulting the most attractive or alpha guy to somehow please the girl who enters the group. She laughs, but it's an awkward one, and the entire group dynamic is changed to one of servile obedience. If more than two girls enter the group, it's fine, but for some reason, two or less just always throws off the dynamic as the thirsty guys try to play people off against each other. Story 40. I saw one of my closest friends give his wife a shiner in front of a bunch of friends and families on what should have been a happy occasion. I lost respect for him instantly. Reported him to the authorities and told him that if he ever came near me or my family, I'd give him a taste of his own medicine. Every friend in our group has asked him to seek professional help, but we've now cut ties with him, seeing that he has not bothered to take that advice. I've heard that he's currently in the middle of a divorce. Good for his wife. Looks like he has a fairly lonely existence ahead of him. I should feel sorry for the person that he was before the incident, but somehow I find myself lacking any empathy for him. Story 41. People who like to mock those weaker than them, or who pester people that are zero threat. It's the kind of guy who wins a pickup basketball game versus a stranger who is 1 out of 10 as good as him and feels the need to talk crap, only when he realizes his opponent is no threat and is losing 12-0. I've been guilty of acting tough around other guys similar to me or who were a challenge or threat to me, but picking on someone who's clearly no threat to you is something I cannot relate to in the slightest. How can you take so much joy in kicking someone while they're down is beyond me. Second is mocking me for doing a kind or selfless thing for someone else. Of course you'd freaking give that homeless guy $5. Idiot, he's just going to spend it on booze. I pretty much have to immediately separate myself from this person. I lose any hope that anything I say will get through to them, and I lose faith in my ability to stay calm while doing so. Story 42. Guys who don't understand how simple consent is, and try to force themselves on women who clearly are not interested or not in the right state of mind to give consent. Guys who pester women publicly then get upset when she doesn't reply or snaps back. PSA, you're not entitled to get a response from a woman. Ever. If she wants to reply, she will. If not, she won't. Simple. Guys who justify victims by saying she was wearing a short skirt or full-face makeup, gave me the eyes, so she clearly wanted it. Refer back to the first sentence. Guys who always feel the need to talk loud or over women in conversations. Need I go on? Story 43. In a professional context, someone who can't take constructive criticism. I'm a software developer, one of the more senior ones in my team. If you ask for advice and to tell you part of your code is poorly written, badly documented, or downright wrong, I'm doing it to help you learn because I care about a product, not to insult you personally. The way some people react, you'd think I just crap on their kids or something. What I don't want is a 20-minute argument about why your obviously wrong way is right. Story 44. Guys who make their entire lives about their girlfriends. It's one thing if she's a decent person, but when they make their lives about a total it's when I instantly lose respect. There was one guy who I worked with, who seemed cool, so we started hanging out. His girlfriend was a total witch, and she would always break up with him and call him to yell at him to get back together. She slept with other dudes a lot. The final straw when I just couldn't do it anymore was when we were drinking in my house and she came by, uninvited, and started a shouting match with him outside to the point one of my neighbors called the police. He lost the little respect I had left for him that night. Story 45. People who put a tailpipe, just the anti-exhaust line, on their truck that is about 6 inches wide. Bonus, if they use it to blow soot and people behind them are bicyclists, your fart can only change the diameter in the last 6 to 12 inches of exhaust. The effects it has on the exhaust pressure or engine are negligible. You need to revamp the entire intake or exhaust line for the gains to be realized. Yes, all gains are gains. Blowing soot is just a stupid move, especially to bicyclists who are literally inhaling carcinogens when you do it. Fresh air is a godsend when cycling. Truck bros are the devil. Further, a widened tailpipe, cosmetic tip, shows me you are foolish with your money. Save and get a performance, stylish car if that's what you want. It's your life. Save and get the desire for fast accelerations, fun, in a sleek, stylish car. Feels good, man. When you have a crap car and put a fart can on it, you're telling me you're so desperate to feel cool that you'll waste no actual gains money to do it. No one thinks you're cooler because your vehicle is a little louder or blows chunks. Story 46. When they're disrespectful to women or to people behind their backs. This kid in my first semester college classes would talk trash some of the girls in our classes behind their backs, as well as with him in the room. I don't even remember exactly what he would say, but it upset me so much I just wanted to punch a little piece of trash. I settled for just actively ignoring him for the 5 years of school we had. We had mutual friends who would hang out with him, so I'd see him from time to time, but I could never regain any respect for him. He's probably realized it was being a schmuck and changed, but once respect is lost, it's hard to regain. Story 47. My buddy's wife is leaving him. I don't blame her. I'm getting freaking sick and tired of being the friend that constantly gets used and taken advantage of. I worked 12 hours yesterday. This guy's blowing up my phone saying he needs a friend. Crap, bro, I can't say no. I want to help him. As I'm on my way to pick up grass for my dad, he texts me to ask if I could get him $30 worth, and he repeats it twice. I have the money. I should have listened to my instincts, because when I got to his house, he gave me the runaround to pay me back. He gave me 4 singles and $2 gold. 20 minutes went by and I said, "So, do you have the rest?" And then he said, "I'll have your $30 tomorrow, man. It's just $30. Do you really care?" What the crap? Screw you. You treat your wife like crap. You mess around behind her back. You make me feel sorry for you so you can get me to front your grass. The ATM charges me a $3 convenience fee because my bank sucks, and then you lie so you don't have to pay me back. No wonder your wife is leaving you. Sorry, I just had to vent. I feel better now. Thanks. Story 48. Men that do not take responsibility for their own actions. I get it. Nobody wants to get in trouble or face any sort of consequences for something they themselves have done or neglected to do. For example, last week, a coworker could not locate an important physical document he was holding onto for another coworker. Instead of simply telling him that he lost it, couldn't find it, accidentally destroyed it, or etc., he states he doesn't know where it is and is pretty sure he gave it back, or that this other guy may have it, or that a supervisor may have taken it. It could have been anyone, really, because it was sitting on his desk. Like, bro, just admit you lost it. We can work around that. Now we have to go and check with everyone to try and see if someone has it. Story 49. Guys that are clearly insecure if you're friends with their girlfriend and desperately try to establish they're the alpha. I was going to hang out with my best friend a few months back, and she asked if she could bring her relatively new boyfriend with her. She went on about how great he was and how we would totally hit it off. I said sure, why wouldn't it be okay? So we meet up and I go to shake his hand. "Hey, I'm John Apples 94, nice to..." And he suddenly gives me the playful slap on the back. Hard enough where I slowly stumble forward and say, "Hey sport, nice to meet you." Not a good first impression. Throughout the course of the night he would talk over me, not paying attention to what I would say or one-up my stories. No one just had to mention how much intimacy they were having. Best friend seemed embarrassed, but never brought it up. Since then, she hasn't brought him when we hang out and seldom mentions him. Story 50. I absolutely cannot respect guys who can't accept that they're wrong about something. It shows they have absolutely no confidence whatsoever. I also can't respect guys who are oversensitive and get offended quickly. Life is a witch sometimes, and you better learn to hold your crap together. If you cannot, then I know you can't be depended on, and so you're not worthy of my respect or attention. Same goes for guys who are jealous of their girl. A confident man knows his worth and trusts his girl to be loyal and respectful. He knows that he deserves that, and that if she cannot provide it, he can find someone else who will. You will notice that all the points I made boil down to confidence. If you're confident in everything you are and everything you do, then you can do whatever you want and people will respect you. If you're not confident, then you will be treated like a loser and it's 100% your fault. I know it's harsh, but so is life. Story 51. Vultures. There's 2 types of vultures, and I hate both. Either you're a sleazy, fake type, or you're a nice guy hanging around until a girl might become a single type. Both are highly pathetic, and I have no respect for either. Like, when a group of dudes are so busy fighting for that one hot girl's attention, they get all rabid doggy. It's pathetic. I'm the dude that's going to find that less attractive, maybe chubby girl and give her some good attention. Like, y'all are sad. Same thing when guys constantly try to go for women way more attractive than them. However high you think you are, lower that a decent amount and adjust your female standards accordingly. You'll get more chances. Be more humble and generally be a less pathetic male. This crap angers me. Well, if you like these stories, here's more. YouTube thinks you're gonna love this. Catch you in that video.